Well, Everton welcome back Richarlison from suspension, but Yerry Mina and Dominic Calvert-Lewin remain unavailable. Roberto Firmino set to miss another week. That's with a thigh injury. And Everton, to give you some context, winless in 7 Premier League games. They've scored 4 goals, conceded 13 during that run, and there are 5 losses in there as well. At one point, Rafa Benitez and Everton were looking like a good match. They became more resilient. They were winning games. He's been hit with a lot of injuries as well. If they lose tonight, is it the manner of the loss that will decide whether or not he's in big trouble, guys?
I think so, yeah. I think if they put in a fighting performance, then maybe a little bit more time. But I said this from the start when he signed. I wasn't happy with it because it reminded me a bit of when Alex McLeish come to Aston Villa. You know, he'd been Birmingham City manager. I wasn't happy with it. A lot of the fans weren't happy with it. Some would turn up at the stadium, like trying to get into the stadium, fuming at the appointment. So I didn't think it would work anyway. And the first 5-6 games, yes, they were getting great results. Everton fans were okay with it. But I knew once they had some bad results, Everton fans, they're going to turn because of the success he had at Liverpool. They're going to use that as an excuse to turn against him. So if they lose, and they lose in a bad way at Goodison Park, it's going to be toxic.
It's also like what he said about Everton while he was at Liverpool. I think obviously he still sits in the Everton fan psyche. And it was a little bit like last season because they started off unbelievably well, didn't they? And everyone was getting carried away. But I was never one of them that thought Everton was ever going to finish inside the top 4 regardless. But this season, I just think with Rafa, he might have a little bit of time in the bank in terms of the owners because they might think, well, we don't want to make another change. And Rafa has been a top manager. Yeah. But I think in the eyes of the supporters, he'll never be given the time that maybe he should have done because of his Liverpool connections. But I think if tonight, if they was to get hammered, I think there's a decision to be made. I think they might have to look at it and go, but then if they do get rid of Rafa, where do they go next? They've had Ancelotti, who's been one of the very best out there. They've got Rafa now, who has won big trophies.
There's one player they could do with not losing. It was Calvert-Lewin, wasn't it? The total
and
different team.
at the same time.
And I feel sorry for Rondon because he's trying his hardest, but he's probably not a Premier League striker now. He's done well in his time at Newcastle, but now watching him, you just can't see him scoring goals, can you? And that's all they've got. Richarlison's been injured, suspended. You know, they're struggling to find that creativity in their side.
Do you know what though as well? But Rondon's never been prolific. No. He had that end to the season at Newcastle under Rafa Benitez, where they had a really good end to the season. I think it was Rondon, Perez, and someone else up front. I can't remember. And they were fantastic towards the end. Had some big results. But if you look at his time in terms of the Premier League...
Almiron? But Almiron wasn't, obviously. I'm sure Almiron was in there.
It might have been Almiron, but I know Rondon was fantastic, wasn't he? And that's why he took him with him to...
Yeah, Jose Perez got that hat-trick against, I think it was Saints,
fantastic. But I think...
That was when they were safe, wasn't it?
If you look at his time in the Premier League, Rondon, he's never been prolific, so... But I guess it's a manager. He knows the player. He knows that he'll give his all, as you said.
He's probably looked at him and thought, you know what, Calvert-Lewin's injury record has been great.
Yeah,
he might have to play a couple of games in the season.
And
he probably didn't think that his star striker is going to be so injured for so long. He's only been brought up as a backup. Come on, for 10 minutes if you need a goal. Play the cup games.
I think that's quite true, actually, because we saw him taken from Newcastle to China with him, to Everton. I think you're probably right. I think he hoped he wouldn't have to rely on him as much as he did, and then he has his problems too.
Fans don't care. The fans don't want to hear about injuries and this. They're looking at a team that is managed by a manager who had so many years at Liverpool, done well with them, and their position in the league. Like they're like 5 points off the relegation places.
Yeah, it's not good.
What is it about Everton? Because where they sit at the moment, they're 14th, and you're right, they're on 15 points, which is 5 points above Norwich, who are in 18th. What is it about Everton? Because they spend money, they bring in top-class managers.
It's got to be recruitment. It has to be. Down to Rondon. I mean, Demarai Gray was a fantastic sign, and Andros on a free. Yep. But if you look at their recruitment over the years, I mean, some of the signings simply haven't been good enough at all. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's been the issue. And then also as well, strength and depth.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right there, rest of the bond.
Just letting them Sorry.
Strength and depth as well in terms of covering midfield, defensively, not been good enough. So I think recruitment's got a lot to say because you can't always blame the manager. No. You can't be always the manager.
Lots of people getting in touch about this actually because tonight, I mean, it could be a bad atmosphere. Goodison Park can be the scariest, most hostile place to go to for an away fan base. But when you are
and a player,
that manager, I mean, what is it like?
It's very intense. The fans are very close to the pitch. Obviously, you know, you get in all sorts of abuse when you play in. It's a very tough place to go. Liverpool, Anfield and Goodison, very tough places to play.
Yeah, difficult. Goodison was always difficult. And well, listen, Liverpool, we know what Liverpool like, but yeah, you're right. Atmosphere at Everton Goodison Park was always good. Tough place to go.
You take a draw, wouldn't you? You just get something out of the game. You wouldn't go to Everton and feel like, you know what, we're going to win this.
It's probably more difficult under David Moyes. That was when they were like solid, and you got Jagielka, Distan, Leighton Baines, Tony Hibbert, Tim Cahill. Tough place to go.
Osman, great side.
Let's give a quick shout out to Liverpool, really, for what they're doing this season so far. Do you think they get enough credit for what they're doing? Because there's a stat here, actually. Liverpool, just the second team in Football League history to score at least twice in 17 consecutive matches in all competitions, emulating Sunderland in 1927.
You know what I love about Liverpool and like Chelsea is that their fullbacks, they're scoring goals. Do you know, like when I'm talking about Newcastle and you're talking about the fullbacks, you can't see them scoring a goal, can you? But Liverpool have got goals everywhere. Van Dijk will pop up with a header. Robertson, Trent Arnold can score from anywhere on his day. Midfielder chipping in with goals. When you got goals from like so many players in the team, you got more chance of winning games, tricky games.
Do you know what it is as well about Liverpool? And I think Chelsea to an extent, maybe not so much, and Manchester City not really. They are relentless. And when I say relentless, ruthless, it's like they've got people in their team that are hungry to score goals. Salah, Mane.
You beat us 3-0, that's enough. Why are you trying to beat us 7-8?
Salah wants to get 1, 2, 3. Whereas Manchester City are happy to just keep possession, keep passing it, keep moving it. Liverpool like, no.
Salah's starving for goals.
Starving. Exactly.
He wants that golden boot every season.
Well,
the 93rd minute, he's running in behind at full speed. Everyone else should be like, you know what? I'm tired, I'm get injured. Salah's like, I wanted a goal.
That's what I was going to ask. Does it come from the manager down, or is that in individual players?
Oh, that is Jurgen Klopp all day, that is. And I really respect Jurgen Klopp. That's him, is in terms of put your foot down on the accelerator, don't let up. Against Manchester United at 5.
They did, didn't they?
I think a little bit, but I've seen them as Arsenal. They would have happily run up that scoreline. Absolutely.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.